Well, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Liv if you're new here, and today we're going to chat all about my witchy TBR. You guys absolutely loved my witchy video from last year. I talked all about some witchy recommendations that I wanted to read or books that I've already read and loved. You guys still comment on that video to this day. So I was like, wow, clearly I need to make an updated version of this video because my reading taste has changed and a lot has changed in the past year. I did go ahead and refer back to my old video and make sure that there wasn't too much overlap, so you should still be able to find some new recommendations here. This TBR is going to be a magical, fun, witchy TBR. You are not going to find evil witches or witchcraft or much of that, at least, within the pages of these books. I don't read a lot of horror, I don't read a lot of witchy things in general, but one of my favorite themes in the fall is witchy books. I just think it's so fun and magical, and I think as someone who's a big fantasy reader, it just kind of makes sense why I like these types of books. And this TBR is definitely not a TBR that I'm planning to finish the rest of the year. This is just like a themed TBR, if that makes sense. I do hope to get to a lot of these in the next couple months, but I'm definitely not planning to read these in the next couple weeks or anything. It is mainly, like I said, a themed TBR. Now that we got all of that out of the way, you are gonna find mostly fantasy books here. You are gonna find maybe a cozy mystery and some middle grade, but go ahead and grab your witch's brew, whether that is coffee or tea, and let's just get straight into the books. The first book is a book that sounds so cozy, so magical, so cute, and that is Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood. I have been following Lucy for a little while now, and for some reason I thought this book was only going to be indie or self-published, but it is not, and I am so happy about that because this is the cutest cover I have ever seen. I knew I had to have it because it's just the perfect fall autumnal cover. In the spellbinding, warm, and cozy debut novel, a burned out witch will need to turn to her friends and trust herself to find the magic in her own life again. This book is about our main character named Belladonna. Love that name so much. I believe she owns or works at a cozy bookshop. I believe the name of the bookshop is Lunar Books, which how adorable is that? Like, just those two things alone makes me want to read this right away. She is just so burned out. She is hiding her magical abilities from her boss, and apparently the coven of witches that she's a part of is going to kick her out for some reason if she doesn't like get her magic back by the end of October. So I feel like I relate to this because I currently am feeling a lot of burnout during this busy season of life, but I feel like this is going to be the perfect cozy, easy breezy read to just be a warm hug and a comfort. I feel like this could easily become one of my favorite books of the year. Next is a book that I also think is going to be really fun. It's by an author who I've read from before. She's written Suburban Hell, and I love that book. It was so quirky but scary and fun all at the same time. That is Hex Education. It is about 3 witches who somehow burned down their school when they were in college, and now I guess their magical powers are just going crazy. Suddenly the magic doesn't want to be controlled. Sarah's orange tabby cat, Katie Purry, now argues with her. Her broom has become self-brooming, and her fridge somehow restocks 30 pounds of sliced turkey for school lunches. And as it grows increasingly difficult to hide the magic in the past, Sarah, Katrina, and Alicia must harness their power together before they find out if polite society still burns witches. This just sounds like it's going to be really humorous, really fun, definitely a more lighthearted read among a lot of these darker books I'm going to be sharing. This book came out last year. It has still stayed on my radar, and if you just want something fun and quirky, I love her characters, so I feel like her books are definitely worth checking out. Next is a book that recently came out that I absolutely had to get my hands on. That is The Book of Witching by C.J. Cooke. I have now read 2 of C.J. Cooke's books, and I can genuinely say I've never seen anyone else I know talk about her books, and I think she is so underrated. So to see that she was a pick for Book of the Month actually really blew me away, but made me extremely excited excited. This story is about our main character, Clem, who goes on some type of camping trip with her boyfriend and her best friend. They both end up dead, and Clem ends up in the hospital not remembering who her mother is, and she keeps saying that she's someone named Nyx. Her mom has no idea who that is, but she ends up trying to find answers by going back to the site where the accident happened. Apparently there's some type of book that's like binding a curse, possibly. We go back in the past timeline and we also find out that there are some type of witchy things that happen there, and we are trying to figure out the mystery of how the two connect. Her writing is absolutely amazing. She tends to weave like mythology or sometimes fantastical elements into her mystery thrillers, which I personally love. But needless to say, very excited to have this in my hands. This author is super underrated and I'm already seeing amazing reviews so far. This next book is definitely another cozy mystery series that I've been wanting to dive into since last year. These covers of The House Witch, this whole series, has the cutest, most adorable covers. I don't think I've seen this on bookshelves like in Barnes & Noble or anything yet, but you can still buy them on Amazon. And this sounds so amazing. It is about a witch named Finn. Yes, he is a male witch, and he ends up working for the imperial or royal family as like a cook essentially. But then he ends up getting wrapped up in all these adventures where apparently it looks like he fights with knights. He's helping to protect the pregnant queen. He also has a cat named Kraken, and if that doesn't sell you right there, I don't know what does. But this just sounds like it's going to be a very heartwarming story. Definitely full of those warm cook like kitchen vibes, all of those different things that come along with The House Witch. So I think this has the potential to be another favorite of the year. I just don't know why it's taking me so long to get to this. This atmosphere at a castle and all of those different things just sound like the perfect formula for me to really fall in love with this series. The next book I definitely don't know much about, but the cover sold me instantly because it is the perfect autumnal vibe. This was a new release last year. Don't know why it's taking me so long to get to it, but that is the Hedgewitch of Foxhall. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a little dragon head up here, and these colors are just so good. The spine is even orange. You have a fox down here. This book is just so stunning. I cannot get over it. A fiercely lovely, wild-hearted enchantment of a story with characters and a landscape worth falling for. Sheer magic from beginning to end. A prince who hates magic. A prince who has spent his life hiding from it. A witch who is determined to protect it. This book I know does take place in Wales, which sounds even more amazing. This book I can already tell is going to be so atmospheric. This definitely sounds like the perfect spin on a classic fairy tale. We might even have like a love triangle or something happening, but you said dragon and I was completely sold. Ever since I read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, I have been on the hunt for this other series or this other book that she's written, but that is the Witchwood knot. Does this cover not scream Victorian, Regency, Gothic vibes? That is exactly what I've been in the mood for this fall. Victorian governess Winifred Hall knows a con when she sees one, when her bratty young charge transforms overnight into a perfectly behaved block of wood. She soon realizes that the real boy has been abducted by the fair folk. Unfortunately, the Lord of Witchwood Manor is the only man in England who doesn't believe in fairies, which leaves Winnie in the unenviable position of rescuing the young lord-to-be all by herself. We love fairies, we love Gothic, we love a good like adventure. There's so much that's gonna be just so exciting in this book, and if her writing is anything like Half a Soul, it's going to be super fun, but she will surprise you with some of the dark elements that come into play. I know this one is just going to be so phenomenal, especially because I've been really in the mood for a specific Gothic like historical book like this. Okay, this next book I am very excited for, but I feel silly saying I know nothing about it other than the fact it is an older backlist. But it continues to pop up in my feed today. But it's also a very popular and highly rated series that is the Black Witch, the Black Witch Chronicles. I mean, look at this chunker. It is definitely a very big book, but I do know our main character Ellerin is actually going to a university to study to be an apothecary. So we already have witchy and academic and apothecary vibes, which I really love. And apparently she joins some type of like group of rebels that have to like hide their power. Some echo of her vast power courses through my veins, waiting to be released. Even though this book was published in 2017, 2019. I am really just enjoying reading backlisted books lately. I recently read Stalking Jack the Ripper, and it just made me realize like how much I really want to read some really good backlisted books. Like sometimes they're even better than a lot of the new releases these days. So this one is definitely high on my radar. Next is another academic witchy book that I've actually been really excited about, but it's indie published, so I originally heard about it from Desi, but I cannot remember if she actually liked the book or if she even finished it, but that is Modern Divination. I love this cover. It's like giving spooky. Aurelia Schwartz has spent 23 years maintaining the equilibrium between her carefully curated human life and the magical one that she endures in secret. With a devoted best friend and top marks at a prestigious university, she has everything one could possibly want neatly within her grasp, except her gift of green magic has begun to fade, and if that wasn't enough to upset the balance of her life, a fateful run-in with another power-hungry witch with a penchant for stolen magic has threatened to bring it all to ruin. Cast into an unexpected alliance with her dreadfully arrogant classmate, Aurelia goes into hiding among a peculiar family of witches where she discovers that the secret to their safety requires breaking rules she has followed all her life. Make no promises, tell no one what you are, and never stay the night. This just sounds like it's gonna be really dark and really spooky. I don't know if there's any romance in here or not. It sounds like there could be the potential, but if I ever get in the mood for another like witchy academic book, this one is definitely gonna be one that I reach for. The next book I'm super excited to get to because I picked it up I think the same week it came out. I have seen nothing but amazing reviews about it so far, and I think it was even like an Illumicrate or Fairy Loot. I don't know, but there's been several other very special editions of this book, which makes me even more intrigued, and that is Foul Days. I don't know much about this other than the fact that she's a witch and there are a bunch of monsters, and I think it's more urban fantasy and it's supposed to be adult. So I'm assuming it may go a little bit dark at some point, but I'm telling you, this sentence right here sold me. The Witcher meets Naomi Novik in this fast-paced fantasy rooted in Slavic folklore. Are you actually kidding me? I love The Witcher. At least I really like the show. Even though it is pretty dark, which I imagine that is the route this book is gonna take, I feel like it's gonna be less on the romance and more on the high stakes, which I'm really excited for because we're getting a lot of this romantasy, and while I do like that, I feel like sometimes I just want an action-packed adventure. So I will definitely be reaching for this one when the need arises. This next book is definitely one that's a little bit more mysterious versus fantastical. I mean, we do have some witchy haunting themes, but that is The Witches of Bone Hill by Ava Morgan. This is a book that I got from the publisher. It must have been last year when it released, but there are so many amazing things that are going to be packed into this book. It is about sisters, which is already kind of giving practical magic vibes. They inherit this mansion from one of their family members. There's a sexy tattooed groundskeeper, but there's also a crypt full of dead relatives that loom at the property line. I don't know much about it other than that. I think they're just trying to solve like their family curse or something of that nature. I think this is going to be a really fun read. I don't think it's going to be like super fantastical like I said, but I think it's going to be super entertaining. I think this book is going to have some really fun themes to it. We love sisterhood, and I'm also very curious if this fox comes into play because you guys know I love foxes. There is a book that came out in 2020 called The Witch of Willow Hall by Hester Fox. I've actually bought a book from her recently without even realizing it's by the same author. I need to pick up this book, but I have not been able to find it in stores yet, so I'm just gonna have to order it. But this book sounds so dark, so atmospheric. 2 centuries after the Salem witch trials, there's still one witch left in Massachusetts, but she doesn't even know it yet. Take this as a warning. If you are not able or willing to control yourself, it will not only be you who suffers the consequences, but those around you as well. In the wake of the scandal, the Montrose family and their 3 daughters flee Boston to their new country home, Willow Hall. The estate seems sleepy and idyllic, but a subtle menace creeps into the atmosphere, remnants of a dark history that called Lydia into the youngest Emmeline. All 3 daughters will be irrevocably changed by what follows, but none more than Lydia, who must draw on a power she never knew she possessed if she wants to protect those she loves. I love anything that surrounds the Salem witch trials, so this one could definitely be a big winner. This next book is also one that is very popular, but it is a very big book, so I have yet to bring myself to purchase it to take up space on my shelves, but if I do end up really loving it on Kindle, I may buy myself a copy of Between. This book I actually found out about last year, again from my friend Desi, and I don't know much about it other than our main character is a substitute teacher or a teacher of some sort. She moves to this charming witchy village and somehow gets involved in like a fairy tale. She finds a fairy tale kingdom. This book is massive, so I can only imagine all of the different crazy things that it holds. But I'm very intrigued by this one, and I've kept it on my radar because it is getting very high reviews. A lot of people have read it, a lot of people close to me have read it, and have said that it's really good. This book came out in 2020, I believe, and it's supposed to be a series, but so far there's only this one book. And I haven't heard talk of the next book coming anytime soon, but maybe that's just me. If you guys know, definitely let me know. This book definitely sounds more of like a cozy fairy tale kind of book, and sometimes I'm just in the mood for like a feel-good book, you know? Instead of those dark witchy vibes, I feel like this is gonna break up a lot of those dark types of themes. This next book is an actual cozy mystery but cozy fantasy series that is very long from what I remember. But the first one is called Curse the Day by Annabel Chase. It is just called the Spellbound Paranormal Cozy Mystery Series, and it sounds so quirky but very cozy and really fun. The only magic Emma Hart believes in is caffeine and the power of the dryer to lose one sock per load. A public interest lawyer buried under a mound of student debt, Emma's whole life has been one turn of bad luck after another. Her streak seems to continue when she gets lost on the way to see a client in the remote Pocono Mountains. A chance encounter with a suicidal angel lands her in Spellbound, a town where supernaturals have been cursed to remain for centuries. Probably not the best time for Emma to discover that she's actually a witch. It looks like there's goblins and vampires in this book, and probably all sorts of other paranormal creatures as well. So if I just need a quick fun read that's gonna cheer me up, I know this book is gonna have all of the elements that I love. And the next two books I'm actually gonna talk about together because you'll just see once I start talking about them, but that is Eva Evergreen, Semi-Magical Witch, and then we also have Kiki's Delivery Service. As you can tell, these two covers are very similar, and the stories are also similar as well. This author took a lot of inspiration from the original Kiki's, and I love Kiki's Delivery Service, but I'm also putting this on this TBR because as many times as I've seen the Studio Ghibli movie, I've never actually read the book, so I feel like this is the year that I really need to do that. If you don't know anything about this story, it's about Kiki, who is this witch who is kind of coming into her powers. She's very young, and she ends up going to this town on the coast to help all of the townspeople with all of these little odd jobs kind of around the town. So it's definitely a low stakes, cozy kind of story, and that definitely sounds like what this one is as well. So I'm gonna read this one first and then this one, but Kiki's just holds a special place in my heart, and if you're gonna read any witchy book, I feel like you just have to start with Kiki's. Alright friends, well there you have it. Those are all of like my top priority magical witchy books that I want to read in the near future. I definitely have a witchy like shelf on Goodreads where I even have more books that I could have talked about, but truly I was just trying to stick to my physical TBR as much as possible. I feel like witchy books are just so fun and so magical, and they can be cute cozy witches, they can be cute like middle grade witches, or we could have like Salem witch trials type of theme. So I feel like I covered a good variety here of different types of witchy genres or subgenres, and hopefully you found a new recommendation. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, definitely leave me like a wand or a witchy emoji in the comments to let me know that you are here. And if you've read any of these books, definitely let me know which ones I should read first. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next fall video.